Good morning. Today we are going to discuss about data types and variables. So before that, we are going to discuss about lexical issues. So what are the basic atomic elements of Java programming is? That is, whenever you write any Java program, we need some kind of small elements. So what are the elements so whatever the Java program you write, so we should use these atomic elements only. So it may be 1,000 lines or 10,000 lines of program also. You should compose it of these things only. So we have white spaces, identifiers, literals, comments, operators, separators, and keywords. So by using these only, we need to write any Java program. So what is meant by white space? So what in white space is a space by giving by your space bar, or a tab slash t or slash n. So these are called as the white spaces in Java programming language. And Java is also called as free-form language. That is, it is not column space. That is compulsory in a particular column. We need to write this particular. There is no. So wherever you can write your words. So if you give multiple spaces, also it's considered as a single space only. So it's a free form language. Next, identifiers. So identifiers are used to name the things such as classes. So whatever the class we are going to write, for the class name required, and variables required names, methods required names. So for all these things we use the identifiers. So what is an identifier is nothing but descriptive sequence of an uppercase and lowercase letters, or you can also use numbers, or you can use underscore also, dollar sign. So these are only allowed. So identifiers should be composed of either uppercase or lowercase letters, or numbers and underscore and dollar sign. So other than this thing, we cannot use any other symbols. So for example, Java is also called as case sensitive language. That is, the capital, for example, capital value is a different identifier than small this value. So these two value, these are both are value, but Java compiler treats these two variables as a different identifier because Java is a case sensitive programming language. So just to see some of the examples of valid identifiers and some invalid identifiers. So which are valid identifiers is, so average temp is valid. Why? Because it is having uppercase and lowercase letters. Here I have a count. It is also lowercase letters A4. So we can have letters and numbers. Dollar test. So we can start a variable with before dollar symbol, and underscore is also allowed. Now let us see which are invalid identifiers. Why this particular two count is invalid is any identifier cannot start with a number. Any identifier cannot start with a number. Next, hyphen is not allowed. Only dollar and underscore, dollar and underscore are allowed. So you are using hyphen. So hyphen is not allowed in the identifiers. Next, slash. So only dollar and underscore is allowed. So if you are trying to use slash, it is not also allowed. So that's why they are invalid identifiers. So next one is what is a literal. So whatever the values we are going to use our Java programming language, so they will call it as 100 is a literal, 98.6 is a literal, X is a literal, this is a test. So these are all called as the constant values are called as a literal. A literal can be used anywhere in anywhere a value of type is allowed. So in Java we are also having comments. So basically how we can write comments is by using this double slash, or we can also use the C notation. In C we are having slash star 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 slash. So this format is also allowed to write the comment, or in a program by writing the slashes, if you write anything, it automatically treated as a comment by Java programmer. So there is also one more format that is also allowed, that is documentation comment. If you want to write a multiple paragraphs, then this kind of notation, whatever bit slash star 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 slash, whatever you write, that will treat it as a comment. So this type of a comment is called as the documentation comment. So in Java programming language, the next atomic element is separator. So what kind of symbols we can use here? So whenever for the we are declaring class names, whenever you are creating objects at the methods, for that we need this particular parenthesis. And braces. So braces, when you can use whenever you are opening any function or a method or a class. So we require blocks. These are for loops or all these things. Whenever you're opening a loop, we need to write the brace only. So braces we can use parentheses. And next one is brackets. Whenever you are declaring array types, so we have to use the brackets. Next, semicolon. Every statement terminates with the semicolon. comma. Whenever you are having multiple values, if you want to separate them, we have to use the comma. So period. So where we can use is with the objects. So whenever we are having object, we write like this: object dot method name, or object name, or dot variable name, like that. So to separate the two entities, we can use period. And also whenever you are importing a package, also we write like this: use the period and colons. So with respect to the methods or constructor reference, we use the colons. So while whenever I teach you different programming concepts, I will use these all symbols, then you understand the exact purpose where these separators are going to be used. So in Java, we use whatever the Java program you write. Thus basically the Java program is composed of these keywords only. So we have this many number of keywords are allowed. Other than this, no keywords are allowed. We cannot. So whenever you declare any variable name with a for, it is not why, because it's a keyword. It's not you cannot declare for as a variable. And also in Java, we have some keywords are there. They're called as the reserved keywords. What are the reserved keywords we're having is, one is we have a constant and go to. These are the reserved, but we don't use them. And also we have some other reserved words like true, false, null. So these are also reserved keywords which are allowed in the Java programming language. So next topic is primitive types in the Java programming language. So what is primitive types is, in a Java programming language, whatever the built-in already described data types are there, they're called as the primitive data types. So Java basically defines 8 primitive data types. They are byte, short, int, long, char, float, double, and boolean. So these are the 8 primitive data types which are allowed in the Java program. So integers. So integers, whenever you want to store the numerical values, natural numbers you want to store, so store these numbers, we use the integers. So basically we have the integer also classified into 4 categories. They are byte, short, int, long. So all of these are signed and positive. So negative, both positive and negative values are also you can store. So Java doesn't support unsigned, positive only integers. So whatever the numbers we are using, they are positive and negative numbers also. Let's have signed bit. So what is the range of the byte? So bytes capacity is 8 bits. It can store from -128 to 127. So short capacity is 16 bits. It can store 32,768 to 32,767. So like that, integer is having 32 bits and long is having 64 bits. That is their capacities. So byte, the smallest data type we are having, that is the integer type, is byte. So where we can use a byte is whenever you want to deal with the binary data, or whenever you are dealing with the stream of data, where we can use this particular variable called as the byte data. So byte data is very useful whenever you are working with the raw, whenever your file is contains of binary information, zeros and ones. To read that kind of data, the byte data type is very efficient. So how we can declare a byte variable is byte, this keyword we need to use space, the variable name, comma, like that you can declare multiple variables. So short. So short is a signed 16-bit type. It is having a range from 30 to 32 768 to 32,767. So that is the range of the short. So how we can use this particular short data type is simply write the keyword short and type the yes. So this is how we can so now we'll see some programs how to write how to declare a byte variable and short variable. So what simply you can do is, so the class d1. So if you want to declare a byte variable, simply type byte b c like this, and simply you can assign any numerical value to this particular variables. So like this we can assign the byte variables. Very simple, like you see programming language. Short also, short d, like this you can declare a variable, then you can assign a value, then you can perform some operations like d is equal to d plus b plus c, like that you can write an expression and you can print that particular value. So you can print the value. So I'm saving my program with the d1.java. So how we need to compile, I have shown in the previous class also. So again show once more. So d colon, I have saved in the folder programs. So program name is d1. So how the command is java c. So java c d1.java, but showing it is an error. So how we can rectify it is that we need to identify where java is installed. So java is installed in the program files in the java folder jdk the bin. So already shown you this particular mechanism why we require. So not every time we need to do this. There's alternate mechanisms are also there. But until you are familiar with this approach, I will use this. After this, I will show the better approach. You need not to use the same mechanism each and every time. So now our program is in compilation. So it's showing there are incompatible types, possibly loss of conversion from int to short. That is what is happens is whenever so what is happening, whenever expression is evaluated, it is automatically promoted to the int. That's why it's showing error. That's why here we need to perform an opt thing called as typecasting. I will discuss about this concept very neatly when I will discuss topic called as typecasting, where we discuss explicit typecasting and implicit typecasting. Now just to avoid the error I done it. What is that exactly? I will discuss at the time of typecasting. So the error is why the error is occurring is, so the only I converted d only. Now what I have done is I just put the parenthesis to the entire expression. Then the result is converted to the short and stored into the d. So like this I avoid the error. Now I can execute this program g1 d1. So the program I got the output. So like this we can declare byte variables and short variables. So the next concept is int. So basically if you require more range compared with the short, then we need to go for the integer type. The int here uses 32 bit. So wherever you can use is whenever you're using arrays or controlling loops, for all the purpose we can use integer. And next one is long, it is 64. Whenever you require large numeric types, then we require a long. So this is a basic simple program I have declared here. So by this we can understand how to declare a long variable and integer variable. So I have declared one variable light speed with the integer, and I declared long days, the days variable as the long type, and seconds variable is also like why I required a long, I will intimate you. Here I assign light speed is equal to some value 1,86,000 and days is equal to 1000. Now how I am calculating seconds is days into 24 into 66, like this and done. So what is happens is this 18600 value is multiplied by 24 and is again no, like I getting a big numerical, it is beyond the integer capacity. That's why I made my seconds variable as the long variable. So whenever you are having more numerical range values, then rather than integer and short, we need to go for the long. And now see here, I made why I made distance also long variable is again my light speed is multiplied with the second, so it gets more numerical value. That's why I made my seconds and distance variable as a long. So whenever you require a large number of numerical values, use long. So next topic is floating point type. Whenever you are having real numbers that has 12.3, 34, whenever you have integer part and fraction part is involved to store that kind of thing, we use these floating point data types. So basically in front end types, you classify two types, float and double. Float is 32-bit capacity and your double is 64-bit capacity. So and here I am doing a simple program. Here I assign R is equal to 10.8 and PI is equal to 3. Pi is equal to 3.1416. Now simply calculating area pi into R. So like this, whenever you are dealing with the fraction values, we need to use double or floating point values. So now I have assigned area of circle is so automatic of so we try to execute this particular programming system, then you can understand. So what we can simply do is just remove this particular code. Then now we write what is the variables required. We need a double pi comma r comma a. Let's three variables were required. So now I assign some a is equal to 10.5. Sorry, not a. R is equal to 10.5 and pi is equal to assigned 3.14. So that's it. Now I'm calculating area. Area is equal to pi into a into a. So now I'm printing simply area. Now we try to compile this program. So showing error. Sorry, there is no value for a, so it is R. Sorry. Oh, so mistake. So simply again recompile the program. So there are no errors in the program. Now we are executing the program. So we got that particular area as 346. So and now we try to use, I will try to change this particular program with the float. So there is much modification, but we get a error. What is the error? I will explain later. See here, when I compile this program, at the assignment we get an error. That is R is equal to 10.5 is error. What is the thing is, in Java programming language, whenever you assign any floating point value for any variable, it is defaultly treated as a double. The type treated as a double. So to make it as a floating point, at the end of the value, we need to put F. So then they are treated as a floating point values. So now if we try to compile the the problem will be eliminated. Now the program is successfully compiled. Now execute. We got our output. So this is how we can use the floating point variables and double variables in our program. So next concept is characters. So whenever you want to store a single character, we can use a data type called as char data type. So basically, in C programming language, we use ASCII, that is American Standards format we use. But in Java programming language, they use a different standard called as a Unicode character standard, which is used to store the character. The standard we can use for the character. So basically character data type is 16-bit. Why to store single character 16-bit required is here with the range of this particular character data type is 0 to 65,536. So this much of number of characters we can able to store very easily in the Java programming language. So let us see the small program how to write the character. So simply here I've created two character variables, char ch1 and ch2. Now I send ch1 is equal to 82. What happens is automatically Java compiler takes the code for the x. What is the default code for capital X is 88. The ASCII value for x is 88. That value will assign implicitly restore x character. ch1 stores x character, but we are assigning only 88 ASCII value. ch2 is equal to y. So you can assign the numerical values or you can assign the characters directly also. Now if you print that variables, it is going to print. So ch1 is x and y is automatically printed. So what is the important notice we need to remember is the many programmers already know the ASCII values for each and every character. That's why in Java programming also the first 127 values are in the Unicode character set also supported in the ASCII character. So whatever the characters are there in ASCII up to 127, the same characters are used in the Unicode also. So next one is in characters we can perform increment and decrement operation. It is allowed, so we can perform. So see here. Here I declared a character variable char ch1 and assign a x value to the ch1. Simply what I am doing here is ch1 plus plus. Automatically what happens is this ASCII value is incremented. ASCII value is 88, it becomes 89. And if you print particular ch1, you get the value y. So let us try to do this particular program in system. Then you can understand how this can be done. So what I'm simply doing is here I have a character variable assigned char ch is equal to single quote and I have type. Now simply what I am doing is ch plus plus. Now if I print ch, what is the value, whether it is x or y. So now let us compile this program. We are getting y. So it is increment operation is allowed, and also we can also perform decrement operation also. If I do this, what is the output of this program? Let us check. So compile the program to execute. Now it is getting the value double. Like this, on a character variables, we can perform increment and decrement operations are also allowed. So boolean. So what is boolean is whenever you want to store true and false values, we use booleans. So look at the simple program. Here I am having a boolean variable called as b, and for the b I assigned a false. So now I print the system.println b is b, then it print the value false. B is false. Now I assign b is equal to true. If I print the statement b is true will be printed. Now here I am doing a simple condition checking if of b. So what is the b value? True. If of b means true is okay. So that's why this statement will be executed. Now I assign b is equal to false. If of b false means the statement will not execute. That's why this particular portion of statement is not going to be executed. Now here what I have done is system.println 10 greater than 9 is it's a just message, but the statement here written is 10 greater than 9. The compile returns true, that is output is 10 greater than 9 is true. So this is how the program will be executed. So the next statement, next concept in this particular topic is integer literals. So how we can store octal values in Java programming language is whenever any numerical value is preceding with 0, that is the compiler treat as a octal value. See here, before 456 I placed 0, telling the compiler that it is not an integer value, it is a octal value. So how we can store hexadecimal value is prefixing with 0x. Any numerical value preceding 0x will treat it as a hexadecimal. Like this, how we can store a long literal is at the end of your value, if you put a long L, capital L symbol, it will treat it as the long. So previously I told, if you put EF, it treated as a floating point value. So how we can store a binary values is before the value, normally 1010 it is, but if you put 0, we treat as a 1010. This is how we can store the binary values. So next one is in JDK 7 there I gone with the new concept also. Between the numerical values you can use this particular underscore. So if you want to separate the values, pin codes, mobile numbers, so it is not part of the value, it is a just a visual justification. So visually if you want to see the numbering position in terms of thousands or any lakhs or crores, you can use this particular visual distinction underscore is allowed in terms of values. So next topic is variables. The variable is the basic unit of storage in Java. Whenever anything we want to do, we have to declare a variable. So variable is a combination of identifier and data type and initialization. So that's it. So for example, how we declare a variable, the type identifier integer, and you assign a variable a, and after that you are assigning a value. So assigning a value is not mandatory. You can write like int a, or you can assign int a is equal to 5 and put semicolon. Both ways we can declare a variables. So like this, we can declare a variables, or we can assign the values also. So that's about the variables. The variable should be a legal identifier. So I have already discussed what are the legal identifiers in the beginning of the class. So in Java programming language, it is also allowed whenever you require. For example, here I have double A is equal to 3.0, double B is equal to 4.0. While performing an operation, I am declaring double. So dynamic initialization is also allowed in the Java programming language. So here I written double C is equal to math dot square root of. So at the time of computation, C variable is declared and initialized. So this the kind of dynamic initialization is also allowed in the Java programming language. So by this we completed our topic data types and lexical issues. Thank you very much.